We were able to feed 573 families in Somerset County last year for food drive. And we have our school supply every year. We raised over $14,000 in school supplies. This year, we also work with the case managers too, and this year in your region, we had Northern Light Health caseworker contact us, and she needed 44 backpacks for kids just in the Pittsfield area that didn't have that to go to school. So we were able to supply her with the backpacks full of school supplies, and then the rest got divided amongst all the 14 schools in our Somerset area. And they're very happy to see us every year when we come by. So those are good. And so we are here today because we need your help. Yes?
Well, so it's good. Do you do this with other major employers in
Yes.
Somerset County, the hospital and the school?
Yes.
And this just involves us authorizing you to put something in the paycheck system for our employees
Correct.
to check off voluntarily whether they want to?
Yep.
You just need us to give you the okay.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yes, we work with other businesses here. Since we combined with part of Maine United Way, and our funds are raised here, stays here in Somerset County, the first year, we weren't sure because our resources here in Somerset were actually combined with Kennebec County. So we really weren't sure, like, how many applicants we would have that first year just for Somerset County, because what's raised here stays here. So we just want programs funding for Somerset County. The first year we had 10 applications and requesting of $80,000 in funds, and we only had $50,000 to give. And then the following year, this past year, we had 12 and requesting $120,000 in funds. So it is important that we increase our footprint in Somerset County to help those programs get what they need. And talking with Tim Curtis about the new program that you're offering for grants, they could be paired with ours as well. So if they apply for funding with us and receive funding, a match to yours, so you will be helping out other programs as well by doing this. And we really need to, like I said, increase our footprint in Somerset County to get more funds to help these programs in need, because they make our communities a better place.
Well, and one of the things about our community grant program is that it does have to have a tie-in to the UT to some extent. So there is that little thing.
Well, but not
No,
community benefits.
Not the community benefit.
No, just TIF.
Just, oh, I know the TIF does, that is fully,
Community benefit.
fully. The community benefit, we used to have a tie-in to it that reflected help to the UT.
Yeah.
No, we don't have that anymore.
Do you have with you exactly what the employee would receive? Is it this entire packet,
No,
or, okay.
This is, we would have a presentation with each, not with each employees, but a group of employees throughout the time.
Oh, okay.
And this is actually a campaign form. It gives you information about what's going on right here in our county, and here is the pledge form and what they can choose to do. And then there's also a place down here if they want to designate their donation to a.
So in some way, you're going to reach out to each employee to try to get them to come to a gathering where you make a
Make a
presentation?
presentation, yeah.
Okay, and how do you reach the individual employee?
Well, we do them, we meet with different groups, depending on, I'll work with either Tim or somebody he designates to do so, and then so they'll set up the thing and I'll show up and do the presentation.
So but what I'm asking is, how does the employee know that this is going to go on so that how are they invited?
I don't know,
That would be something that we would facilitate through payroll.
Okay.
So we could certainly send, right now we email out everybody's pay stub, so we would certainly maybe attach a notice to that pay stub.
Okay, something as simple as that, okay. Perfect.
How does United Way stay in business if none of the money that's gathered from this county goes to the central office for admin?
Well,
The
there is
$900,000.
18% goes, of each donation, 18% goes to admin to cover the cost of us doing this.
Oh,
Putting on the presentation, handling the money and sending it out. And like I said, a lot of the facilities and designations that actually are getting those funds would not actually be given to those designations or programs if we didn't do this, unless they sent somebody, every one of them sent somebody here for that, so.
Right.
So that was important.
so of the dollar that somebody contributes, a certain low percentage of it goes to fund
18
United Way.
18 cents.
Yeah.
For
Both
each dollar.
local admin and also national, the whole organization. That's what keeps it running.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also, in here, we have some great sponsors, business sponsors that have actually put some together a prize campaign. You don't actually need to be a donor in order to sign up for the prizes. So, and one of them is LLB gift card for $500 and the Bangor Waterfront Concert VIP package and installation of the heat pump. So our financials are in here, in that one there, if you would like to look at it. And then this is also our Leader Circle book, and those are donors of that $1,000 or more, and then some information.
So I'm gonna ask you a question that probably nobody else is gonna ask, because it's just the way my mind works.
Okay? She-
When you talk about the heating assistance and the different types of assistance, we know that all the townships in Somerset County, or pretty much all of them, have general assistance funds. Do you coordinate with the towns when you working on these applications for folks to receive that?
We actually, how we put out, and to handle this with you, how they handle it, because Town of Madison actually applied. We actually just put out their application and how much they requested. We would say applications are open, and then we send them the money. They have to report back to us by the end of June and to let us know how they use the funds.
How they use that fund?
Yeah.
But is that information passed to the towns so that they're aware that those individuals are applying for that assistance from you?
So if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, these are funds that are set aside that towns can apply for.
It was the
to-
heat assist, just the heat assist.
To supplement,
Yeah.
right. So a town can apply for this.
Goes to the
And
town,
then,
not the
and then
individual.
when a individual comes in asking for assistance with heating oil, the town can either use their GA funds or this fund.
That's what I was
Yeah.
actually looking for.
I do have a question, Laurie.
Yes.
Everybody's seen these folks by the entrance to Walmart at Hannaford over there.
Oh, yeah.
They've been there for 6 months. Man, and woman, and children say they got burned out. What kind of program should they get in to get help?
I'm glad you asked that. I actually stopped and asked her that, and I told her there are programs that are right there, like, actually it was on a Wednesday, and Common Unity Place was open. So there was a place that they could get food and stuff, and I offered to give her a ride. She had no interest.
What?
She had no interest.
No interest. So that's why I wondered, because they're there all the time.
Yeah,
Who's this? I didn't catch the first part of that.
Well,
I don't know who it is.
I don't know. They say they got burned out, that was 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Now they bring their kids with them and sit on the side of the road.
Oh,
They've been here a long time, and there's another
Yeah.
couple too doing it too, up by
yeah, you'll
Tractor
see them
Supply.
sometimes by Tractor Supply.
Yeah,
Or over by the Pizza Hut and
Yeah.
over by Walmart, and then sometimes you'll see them over here in front of the chamber.
well, because I'd like to stop at some point and point them in the right direction, but
I did.
You did.
Of course, I had to stop.
So there, so, yeah, so there
There
are
was a
programs
little kid
available for
sitting
them
on
if
the
they
side of the
choose to.
road.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I told her about places that she can go and be helped, because there's also KB Cap, and there's a lot of places around here that can actually help.
so if they don't want any help, is that a scam?
I
get money?
I can't say it's a
speak for
scam, and you can't, it's just like with anything, you
No.
can't.
Well,
You can walk a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. I mean, you can offer the services, it's their decision at the end of the day if they decide to take it. It's unfortunate.
well, someone gave one of them a $50 bill.
Yeah.
Well,
It wasn't me.
it is,
I'm in the wrong line of work.
it's an interesting point, because you would think
I don't
that
think you'd like that kind of work.
in some ways that should be kind of a mandated thing. I was driving the other day and saw an individual out asking for help in one of the exits of the Walmart, I think it was. This guy pulled out and gave him a whole pizza
Yeah,
through it.
yeah, I seen that same exact thing.
I've seen that.
So, you know,
I've seen that.
Should we,
Anyway.
well, on this,
Right here at the Earth.
on this,
Yeah.
any further questions?
No.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We are having a breakfast on November 8th here at T&D's to celebrate the awards for the companies that actually have been doing a campaign with us and for our programs. So if you guys are more than welcome to come, and you can QR the code to RSVP or visit our website and do so.
Do you know what that is,
Okay.
John?
So I do have a question related to us.
QR
Do we
code.
have to wait on this? We added a resolution to the agenda.
Well, I was just gonna have us put it on the next agenda. That'll be fine.
Great, thank you
Does-
so much. Any more questions?
No, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We'll just add this on the next agenda. Patrick's out for vacation anyway, so,
All right, right, so, can't do any finance stuff.
yeah, so we're good. Next on the agenda is the update on the Maine Hudson Trails, Wolf Tone.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Wolf Tone. I'm the Executive Director at Maine Hudson Trails, and I'm really grateful for these precious minutes of yours to give you the update. I am here today because I've been eager to get in front of you to provide an update for quite some time now. I reached out to Commissioner Stetkis and Commissioner Johnson probably early September, I think.
Yeah.
And it was those conversations that suggested trying to get on an agenda and give you a little bit of an update and an opportunity to introduce the Tim. So what I'd like to do over these precious minutes is give you sort of a background, just so everybody comes up to an understanding of who we are, where we are today, and then maybe I've got about 3 sort of action steps, forward-orienting kind of questions. Maine Hudson Trails as a concept has been around since the 80s in terms of creating a recreation destination of national significance. And we were created as a nonprofit in 2000, and we constructed and built our first hut in Carabasset Valley in 2008. Today, we are 4 backcountry lodges between the West Forks and Carabasset Valley, 80 miles of trail. As a nonprofit, our original mission was quite ambitious. To construct these huts, to build the trail, ribbon of trail, to provide free access into this magnificent landscape, groom those trails in the winter, to bring people into our communities, to be an employer of choice, to support local vendors with our purchasing, and to get to that level of recreation destination of national significance. And we accomplished a lot of that in our first 10 to 12 years. 2018, 2019, you might recall that we confronted our business vulnerability. That ambitious mission statement and everything that we tried to accomplish got more complicated. We were running it like a hospitality business in the clothing of a nonprofit. And so in order to achieve all those outcomes, our business model fell over in 2019, and we were open about that. And then what happened? We had a global pandemic. So as a backcountry experience that brings people inside, the pandemic was a real body blow to our business model. But we are here today, we are open, and we're viable, and we're following a good, solid, strong plan. We are open because of tenacity, because of that original mission objective, because of our community support. And our plan has we've pivoted and we've broken our way forward into 2 components. The first is to focus our experience on the winter. If you are aware of what we provide, we welcome people into our huts on cross-country skis, snowshoes, fat bikes, mountain bikes, hiking boots, and we provide delicious dinners and breakfast and lunches, and all you have to bring is a sleeping bag, a pillowcase, and a towel, and your personal belongings. You can stay one night, you can stay 3 nights, you can go hut to hut. So we are executing that only in the winter. We're not trying to carry it all year round. So when you get to April, May, what do we do at these lodges for 7 months of the year if we're not going to try to repeat that in the warm season? We are building partnerships with entities like the Boys and Girls Club, Teens to Trails, local schools, outdoor associations, outdoor clubs, and working in partnership to bring people into this landscape and give them a memorable experience and something that sort of rubs off to be good stewards of, and contribute to our local economies. So we've really got the winter model and we have the summer model. This was the first summer where we were experimenting with these partnerships, and it's really working. Flagstaff, over on the eastern shore of Flagstaff Lake, is the go-to spot. Grand Falls Hut is still closed. You'll recall in 2019, our energy system out there failed. And then the pandemic. It's been hard for us to prioritize getting Grand Falls back open again, but that's a lot of why I'm here today. I think, I know Maine Hudson Trails and I personally have a commitment to getting Grand Falls open. I don't see Grand Falls, doing that unilaterally, doing it alone. We need to open Grand Falls in partnership.
Didn't Somerset Wood just receive land up there?
What was the first part of the sentence?
Somerset Woods?
Yes, they did. So a section of trail between the location of our hut and Grand Falls itself went from a private landowner into Somerset Woods. Yeah, our trail transects through there, absolutely. Really exciting development.
Yeah.
What I'm working to do is sort of bring ourselves back up into visibility and talk to local guides, talk to fly fisher outfitters, local businesses, the Raptors. What business opportunities can be unlocked when Grand Falls is open? And so that's the beginning of my sort of my 3-part action step to us today. I'm trying to free the time and elevate the priority to meet with the local businesses on the 201 corridor and find out what are those business opportunities that we can create together. I think one of those is with the snowmobile community. So what, who do I need to meet with in the snowmobile community to understand how we can utilize Grand Falls out there? So it's sort of a general appeal to the community to say, I need help knowing who to have meetings with, who to have coffee with, who to walk the land with, who to get out and show what Grand Falls is all about, the hut itself. The second is a more specific sort of action step. I would like to learn and participate in the TIF, the Bingham TIF. Flagstaff is open. The energy system out there is vulnerable. In order to be more reliable, we need to make an investment in that energy system. So in order to be able to reliably bring everybody in, I'm making an investment. I'd like to learn what the opportunity is today in the form of the Bingham TIF. By doing number 1, building relationships and partnerships about business opportunities, and doing number 2 in the near term, I'd like to also identify how we can make the investments we need to make and the leverage funding partnerships we can create to get Grand Falls open. That's medium term. The third general ask is, as Maine Hudson Trails does 1 and 2, and we start to get traction back over here in the Kennebec Valley, as Somerset County and the area is thinking about its recreation infrastructure and the investments we want to make on a larger scale, that Maine Hudson's here. We were conceived of and built around that recreation destination of national significance. And it's the Appalachian Trail, it's our trail. If you look at where the mountain bike community is going, and all these other opportunities, they stem off the spine of what we created. So we're not, it's sort of a catalytic opportunity. And I'd like to sort of be here today saying, we're here, we're vibrant, we're coming back. And as you and the county unfold sort of your plans for recreation infrastructure, we'd like to help contribute to that going forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Where's the county line? Is that, Flagstaff Hut is in Somerset County?
It is.
But Poplar is not.
It is not, correct. So as you're going down Long Falls Dam Road, if there's anybody here responsible for that road that just got paved, oh my goodness.
That's the
thank you.
state of Maine, you can thank them.
Holy crow.
We call it painting. We painted the road.
Yeah,
I
just
wouldn't say
paint,
that, but
it's just
it'll
paint.
come up.
It would be fun for a while.
But we'll take it. So as you approach, there's a power line just past sort of East Flagstaff Road. That power line is the county line. So Flagstaff is in Somerset, yes.
You've never asked for funds from the TIF?
Not true,
Budget.
twice.
Twice.
The first, I had just started in 2018, and I think you were evaluating an application that paid for a snowmobile to groom this side of the system. And then the second was in 2019, when, after that sort of the admission of business vulnerability, and we presented the grant, the TIF grant application, and it was read appropriately as an operating grant. Okay, Maine Huts, you just sort of told us that you're struggling with your business plan. Come back to us when you have something concrete, a capital investment that, but for that investment, the following can happen. And that's where we are today. One thing I forgot to mention in this context of your excellent question, this is really important. I mentioned why we're still here today. We're here because of tenacity, we're here because of our community. And in that winter of 21-22, we committed to opening 3 huts, Stratton, Poplar, and Flagstaff, and we did it. It was really hard. It was hard for all of us with the hiring challenges and Omicron and all that. In 2022, Maine Hudson Trails committed to eliminating our primary debt. We had $1.2 million of primary debt, and it's gone. One of your pieces of feedback in 2019 was around that debt component. And as we look to our private donors and we look to our public partners, that was a piece that was locked up. And so we made it a priority, and we accomplished that last year. And so what we get to present ourselves now is that the dollars that we raise, the grants that we apply for, get invested in Maine Hudson Trails. So that was a huge step. And I was like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention that. But it was in part because of the feedback that you provided in that window of the TIF that said, if we want to be more competitive and make a more compelling case, we need to prioritize getting our debt resolved.
It seems to me, I mean, I don't know how many other members have been to these huts I have. I've never been to Grand Falls because it's really out there. And I've always wondered in the back of my mind whether having these they're really hotels. They're not, it's a misnomer to call them a hut. They're not huts. They are very fancy and lavish almost, you might say. And they're very comfortable. And they serve a pretty limited population segment, people that are into the outdoors, that sort of eschew snowmobiles and ATVs, like to ski, but they don't like to ski that much because it's not a real long ski to get in there. It's sort of it's a limited customer base, I think you have. And I think one of the challenges is to get more people using them. And I think the notion, particularly of the Grand Falls hut, would be, if that was somehow melded in with snowmobilers, that would make a lot of sense to me, because I don't think you're ever going to have enough people that want to strap on their cross-country skis
No,
and
you're
ski
right about
there.
that.
It's too far.
I think that, yes, please.
The bridge at Grand Falls, they just redid that, didn't they? A few years back
The
for snowmobiles?
big one,
Yeah.
great question. No and yes, we did not redo it for snowmobiles. Snowmobilers are currently using it.
Right. Because I used to have to cross the stream
Yeah.
to get to the other side with the truck.
So that's a product of our attention being on the other 3 and not on Grand Falls. That is not Maine Hudson Trails saying, this is an endorsement of snowmobiles going across. That's a conversation I want to have.
Have you worked with Somerset Woods yet?
We have not. We've communicated around the deed transfer. We have a lease with the former landowner. We now have a lease with Somerset Woods.
Was that Philbrooks?
who's,
The former.
in terms of who,
Well, I used to hunt up there with Bill Philbrick, and he owned 300 and plus acres up there.
Gates was the
Oh,
former.
yeah, it's his son-in-law,
Yeah.
Got
okay.
it.
Skip Gates.
So, to your question, sir, yes, we are making, in that winter, it's a finite population, and in our previous existence, we just shoveled coal and presented ourselves as a hospitality business. We muddled the mission impact, in terms of community impact and youth engagement. So, we're going to deliver on that winter experience, and I think the future of Grand Falls can be brighter with the involvement of the snowmobile community. And that's a conversation I want to have. In the non-winter, we are absolutely emphasizing how to get youth engaged in the outdoors. And we had good, it's experimental summer. We had some good traction that we learned from. They're already calling and saying we want to bring 2 groups back next year. We want to bring 3 groups back next year. And so how do we take what we've learned and expand that? So that's both, socioeconomic, race, familiarity with being outdoors, really working on being more accessible to a broader audience.
I've got a couple of quick ones for you. In your current business model, does that put you into or take you out of the running for state tourism dollars? There's grant programs for each individual region through DECD. Do you know where you fit into that to be able to apply for some of that funding?
I saw Commissioner Johnson and Carol Ann last couple weeks ago. We need to talk. Where does it put us?
And Carol Ann is very familiar with Hudson Trails.
Yeah, exactly. So where does it put us? It puts us coming out of the invisible phase. We just have not been so focused on protecting the core and building, a sense of sustainability, that now, today, this presentation is one demonstration of getting back and saying, all right, what do we need to do? We need to get our energy system at Flagstaff stabilized, we need to get Grand Falls open, and the bridges on the Dead River Trail are falling apart. And how do we build the partnerships to be more competitive in these?
So you're in the process of looking into DECD money? Okay, okay, so you are aware of that, okay, good. Because that's why the program is there, to do things like this. And actually, that's when I met with Carol Ann, we were talking about this particular thing.
Yeah.
My other question was the energy system that you just brought up. What is or was in place that failed, and what are you looking to replace it with?
In the fall of 2019, our lead-acid batteries that support the energy system in Grand Falls wouldn't accept a charge, so we couldn't.
So your energy system is a solar system?
If Grand Falls and Flagstaff, it's solar with a liquid propane backup generator.
Okay.
So now we're thinking about, how do I replace the batteries at Grand Falls? Pandemic. Last year, the batteries at Flagstaff died. The generator died. If it was a diesel truck, it had 900,000 miles on it or something. So now my generator went down and my battery's down. I have a replacement generator that I'm in the process of installing now, and I have half of a battery bank that I need. We are replacing the lead acid with lithium ion. Our hut staff were trained and would take care of lead acid batteries. They also had to cook, they had to welcome you, they had all these, so, dealing with lead acid was, if we could get away
Difficult,
with that.
right.
So it's the replacement of lead acid batteries.
How many amp hours of battery do you need, battery bank?
Oh, great question, Commissioner. I should know off the top of my head. I'll get back to you on that. I mean, I talk to the consultant, I get that number in my head, and then it falls out.
It's in the thousands or tens of thousands?
Amp hours? I can't track the unit.
Okay, it's not a big, I'm just trying to picture, because I know basically what the cost would be is all.
Is that what went into converting the Stratton Brook to live feed CMP power?
That was originally built with an extension cord, right from day one.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought they had switched it over.
Yeah, no, it's sort of it's the one that isn't off the grid completely.
So just a tip, those would be questions in the future that I would ask when we get to that point.
Last year, we were advised that Flagstaff would benefit from 12 lithium-ion batteries. We bought 12 and split them 6 and 6 between Flagstaff and Poplar. So for Flagstaff, it doesn't make complete sense just to buy batteries. I need to also increase the solar capacity with sort of more efficient solar panels. That would be the ask, is provide the specifics, but.
The good news, all of that has dropped in price by about 40% in the last 2 years, so.
Yeah. But these are kinds of, in addition to scrubbing the toilets and all the spreadsheets, that's
Right. exactly
exactly the problem I'm trying to.
Yeah, yeah, and with lithium ions, you have an app on your phone, you can,
Oh, it's amazing.
they're great. Oh, yeah, they're amazing.
We did, on the Poplar case, on the Franklin County side, last winter, we got our hydro system working again after being broken for 8 years. So now we have a dependable supply of power from hydro, which is fantastic. It eliminates our, probably a savings of $4,000 to $6,000 a year in propane costs, and we're just not pumping that carbon into the environment, which is a case that Maine Hudson Trails can then go and promote. So there's a huge economic cost and savings and environmental benefit, and I just need to sort of replicate the same argument at Flagstaff and get Grand Falls open.
Any further questions?
I'm good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next in our workshop is discuss cost savings strategy with the jail solar array.
So, just to give you a little background here, Patrick and I have been looking at possibilities of utilizing the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Strategy Grant. And that's about a $72,000 grant that's available to Somerset County. We looked into issues simple as changing out our fluorescent bulbs for LEDs. And then we got looking more deeply at the application, and part of the application is that the county has to come up with their proposed long-term strategy to increase energy efficiency in the jurisdiction. And so that kind of got us thinking a little bit larger than LEDs. So I reached out to some folks at Revision Energy. Way back in the day, Revision was the one that kind of brokered the project at Madison Electric Works, which at the time was the largest solar field in the state, but that's been dwarfed 100 times over by now. So what the gist of this is I wanted to get some numbers from Revision Energy on options to create a small solar field on property at the jail that would help offset the cost of energy that is consumed at the jail. That was my, enter into the conversation goal. And then once they sent me numbers, I let Patrick loose. And Patrick basically went back and forth with them and crunched the numbers. He's on vacation. It was so stressful that he had to leave and go to North Carolina. I'm kidding about that part. And some of you may know from past history, Patrick did a project like this about 3 years ago where he crunched the numbers on a potential solar array, and they didn't work. And since that time, more federal money has come into these types of programs, and like Mr. Stetkis referred to, the costs of these have come down considerably. So what Patrick concluded was, if these numbers are correct on any type of solar array, not just the Revision Energy one, the county could save about 50% of our energy costs. We spend about $300,000 a year. I should say we budget for about $300,000 a year just in energy costs. The jail takes about $240,000 of that $300,000. This is a system that maybe some of you are more familiar with than others. This is a credit on your bill. That's how you realize the savings. And the estimated cost on a field that would accomplish this is about $1.5 to $1.8 million. So the county has two options. The county can save up that money and pay for it in cash and then receive all the energy that solar field generates, or they can enter into what's called a PPA, or a purchase power agreement, where all the upfront costs are burdened by a private investor, and in turn, you would buy the power from that investor at a reduced rate. So Patrick's calculations on savings are based on the PPA. They're based on no upfront costs and buying the electricity at a cheaper rate through the investors. So I wanted to wait until we had some more detailed numbers before I brought this to you. What I'm thinking now is, if you're interested, I'd like to maybe put together an RFP so multiple solar companies can bid on this type of project. And then we'll get into more specifics, exactly where it would be located, work with the folks at the jail so that everybody's on the same page as to how this would work and so forth. I really did this from a financial standpoint first, before we move forward. If it wasn't going to be feasible financially, I didn't want to bother anybody at the jail about this, but if Patrick thinks it can work, it may be worth going to that next step.
Have you contacted Skowhegan about, they were gonna put a solar array at the landfill which abuts this property? And they had talked about connecting in with this one. And they would, what they would do is they would install it all and just like when I was gonna do it, pay you X amount of dollars per year.
Right.
And they would, all upfront costs, so.
No, I can follow up with somebody, maybe Jeff Hewitt or somebody.
Yeah, Jeff would probably know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So a question I would have would be, let's say with revision or whoever it ends up being, and this is a concern basically throughout the state right now, is it looks like the numbers here, we would be getting a credit or a payment at 11 cents a kilowatt hour, if I'm reading your numbers right?
Right, that's the quote, yeah.
Okay, so, my concern is, and each size field, or you've got industrial standards, you've got different sizes. So, my concern is, what will Revision Energy or whoever sell back to the grid? It could be as much as 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So, yes, we save, Somerset County taxpayers will save money on the cost of this energy when it comes to, the jail, but it also adds to the cost of their power bill.
Exactly.
So what's the, is there an actual net gain, and is it worth it at that point in time?
And that's what Patrick had in mind when he started to crunch these numbers. And as you know, a lot of the required payments back to the grid are in legislation. And so I think what they told us at revision was, it's at 23 cents at this point. And then, of course, there's room for that to grow over time.
Right.
But you're exactly right. Every time that someone invests in hooking up power to the CMP grid, a little bit of that money gets added to our bills as CMP
Right,
customers.
the temperature of the water gets hotter and hotter.
you're the frog.
And that's why,
You're the frog in
right,
the pot.
and that's what we're saying. I mean, we saw it here, right, our own budget, the increase in electric costs here in the county itself was greatly increased because of the amount of solar energy that is being dumped into the grid at that 20 to 30 cent a kilowatt hour. So what the net gain would be, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm not a big fan of actually, promoting that sort of thing, so.
Question is probably not way to.
Small scale.
Completely, but
Is there,
in terms of
Are they gonna cut
ongoing
that number?
continued maintenance, the responsibility of who that goes to, and we all know that with solar systems and batteries, that can be an enormous cost. So where are we at in trying to kind of project the cost, and is it really gonna be actually worth our savings if we're gonna be paying that much down the road to maintain?
So one of the options that Patrick looked at was the purchase power agreement where the facility is owned by a set of investors. And although the county would have the option of buying it after 6 years, when they've received all their tax credits, there's no requirement that the county would ever have to own it. So the onus of maintenance, repair, and, disassembly would be on those investors.
Investors.
Right. And that's the way Patrick calculated, because he had the same concerns about the county having the liability at the end.
Okay.
how long do these things last? Nobody's ever answered.
People are talking 30 years now.
And then what happens?
Then you recycle.
Decommission.
When you replace the panels, or do you,
You certainly can.
or whatever technologies there is at the time.
I don't profess to be an expert on solar. Patrick and I just did the numbers on this to see if it would be something that you had the appetite for, and if you do, I'll pursue it. If not, I'll put it on the shelf and look at something else.
Excellent.
I think it's good to pursue, and we'll continue this workshop next time.
Okay.
Good. And number 4, no further questions on solar. Number 4 would be the charter review.
So I want to take another little bite at the apple in the county charter, and I put some data in your packets. Wanted to get back to the first item I put in there is basically state statute on county administrators. And we had talked last week about who exactly is the chief executive officer of the county. And there really is no clear definition of that, either in state statute or in our charter. And I'm not so sure it really needs to be. I mean, when you boil it down to it, I execute whatever you authorize me to execute. And that's essentially how it works. There's really no clear-cut answer to that. But I did provide you for what the state says about duties of the administrator, which is known as the chief administrative official. And all that I highlighted there is all in the charter anyhow. What I really wanted to focus on today is the beginning of Article 3, which is really the layout for the charter's role for the county commissioners. Several of the sections are very similar. I just made a couple of notes in red there. When it comes to terms, there is one county that puts term limits in their charter, that's Androscoggin. They limit commissioners to three terms. Vacancies, how counties deal with vacancies varies from every county. We are the only county that does what's called a municipal caucus, and you witnessed that a few months ago with the Register of Deeds. We're the only county that does that. If you don't have a charter, then the governor fills your position. In some cases, like Androscoggin, they caucus by political parties because all their elected officials are still political, partisan. Knox has the governor appoint, Aroostook has the governor appoint. Cumberland has the power within their own board of commissioners to fill a seat of a vacant commissioner or a seat of another vacant elected official. So everybody kind of does it a little bit differently. So I reached out to Elaine Allos, who is diligent in note-keeping, and she was the vice chair of the commission that did the charter back, several years ago. And she said there was quite a bit of discussion about this, and there was a lot of back and forth. The commission really wasn't interested in leaving it all in the hands of the governor. They didn't really think it was right to leave it all in the hands of the board. So they came down to either a municipal caucus or the budget committee. One of those two entities would be used to replace vacancies. And they ended up going on the broader of the two, which is all of your municipal officials. So Elaine provided that. I didn't know if you had any thoughts or comments or questions about the differences in replacing vacancies.
So in that conversation, my assumption would have been, because they changed the charter to nonpartisan, did she mention, was it caucus by political party prior to?
No, because prior to a charter, you would have gone by state statute, and state statute is primarily the government.
So there was no charter prior? It wasn't a changing of the charter, but there was no charter prior?
Right. The charter that you're
Okay.
looking at here was initiated in 2010 and then slightly amended in 2011 when you went to 5 districts.
Yep, okay.
So,
It was a political caucus before the charter, because we had partisan elections.
Right.
So, yeah.
So each party would present a candidate to the governor, and the governor...
right.
Well, actually, yeah, the party would, and we did that in 2006 when Zane passed away. And Gerald York was elected by the Democrats, because Zane was a Democrat. So, that was a long time ago.
That's a pretty impressive memory you have there.
That's a good history.
For a man my age, I can remember some things.
So I think Elaine was helpful in kind of giving the feedback and why we have it the way we have it as municipal officials. If there's no other questions on that, on section 6, you have the apportionment, basically how the districts are set up. One of the things also that Elaine alluded to is, in this charter, she feels that the commission wanted to keep a history of all the districts, so they'd all be in one document. So in the current charter, we have the reapportionment that happened in '22. And that's essentially what this page is, that we split up the UT. The original charter had this, which all the UTs were in District 5. The language in the charter says you can change this through reapportionment, and that doesn't have to go to the public for a vote to change the charter. So you can change the districts outside of changing the charter, but to Elaine's point, she'd want to keep all the historical districts in one document to say, this is what it was from this year to this year, this is what it currently, the makeup is. The other thing about changing the districts is it should be done in conjunction with the Budget Committee. And of course, that is in section C that says, this should include all of the commissioners and all of the Budget Committee when you do a reapportionment, and it has to be a 2/3 vote as such. So, and this happens after every census, so it's not something you have to deal with coming up very, very quickly.
It's that Canyon Cornville flipperoo that
Yeah.
is tricky.
Look at the
We
mess that
keep
made.
switching back and forth.
Look at the mess that made, huh?
So any questions on apportionment or districts? The only
So
other
we don't
thing,
worry, we don't worry about this till 2030,
after the 2030 census.
if there is a 2030.
Census.
There's always that.
The only other thing the only other thing I want to draw your attention to is compensation. On the bottom of page 6, section 8. This language that's in the charter is exactly verbatim from Title 30A, section 51 of the state statute. So there's really nothing surprising here. But I will add that all the other charters defer to the Budget Committee to set the commissioner's compensation. Now, there's nothing in state law that says you have to do that, and your charter is silent on that, so essentially you set the compensation for the commissioners. I'll just make you aware of that difference.
But you're going to raise.
No, actually, we did increase the commission raise amount, and we did have it approved by the Budget Committee. So there was a relationship there where we worked with the Budget Committee to formalize that new salary for the commissioners.
Yep.
But it's not required.
I think that's a good practice, it's just not mentioned anywhere in your charter, and it's mentioned in all the other charters.
Yeah, but still at the same time, when we present the budget to the Budget Committee, they
ask questions.
they can,
If they know to ask, right?
well, there's that, but
They're good.
Yeah,
but they might not ask and then strike, so.
So that's all I had for your second bite of the apple there.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you very much. New agenda items, commissioners only? Are all good? Thank you. Scott?
I would like for the commissioners to consider either putting on a workshop or an agenda in terms of having us review the exit interviews from those that are passing in resignations. I have not seen an exit interview from anybody that's resigned since I've been here. And I think it's important that we gather information from those in determining why we have such a high volume of resignation. So I would suggest that we consider that and look at those. Well, that's not true because I know people that have told me they sent them in, so.
Since I've been here, one.
But anyway, I'm just saying that if the exit interviews are coming in, I think that we should review them so we can look at them and see in those may be the causes of what I've felt have been, and it has lessened, too many resignations. So there's gotta be something going on.
I'm going to defer to HR to respond to that. It's an interesting question.
There's only been one that's come.
Are they available to,
Now, what are we talking about? What has come in?
One exit interview a week.
You mean a written document of
When
question and
people-
answers?
Yeah, when people resign, we send them out a exit interview.
So it's a questionnaire? It's not really
It's like,
a taped interview or something? Okay.
And they have
sort of a
an option
misnomer.
to send it back in,
no,
and I have
yeah.
received one. Shared it with that department head.
Just so consistent with human nature, when people leave, they just head for the
Wanna-
door.
yeah, they
Well,
want to
why don't we
be
just
over.
have a workshop on that next time?
we don't listen to, I mean, I'm just saying that I think that we as commissioners, when they do come in, should be reviewing them and gathering the information on, you know,
You know, and I apologize, I did ask our HR director about that. There were none that came in, so I never brought it up to say
no, that's fine, I mean.
otherwise. I was curious about that too.
I was told that there's been some that have come in, but if it's only one, but I think ongoing, as we
Right.
field these resignations, number one, we should encourage the exit
Oh,
interview.
yeah,
And number two, we should be reviewing them so that we can determine if we get a rash of resignations, you know, why are people resigning, walking out the door?
Yeah, right.
I think it
Is there a common theme?
You know, is there a common theme? Because, you know, gets to the point where somehow we gotta stop the bleeding, so.
and you might, you said you knew people that had turned them in, but apparently they haven't, but they may
They
have.
haven't, maybe they still will, I don't know, but
But have they discussed with you a common theme?
Huh?
Have they discussed their reasons with you?
I haven't, no, because I don't ask that, because I don't think that I should ask that question, because I think we should wait and see it all together.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
sometimes people volunteer, so I didn't know if they just volunteered that.
No, they haven't volunteered any information, they,
Okay.
you know,
No, very good. Finance reporting.
So would you like that as a workshop on the next, just to discuss the process of the exit interview?
I mean, yeah, let's just have a discussion on that. Is there going to be a finance report?
No, there's no final
Okay.
report.
Administrator report.
Yep, just briefly here, Leanne and Mike Pike and I traveled down to South Portland for the Employment Law Summit, which was it was a good lunch. And it was a good lunch, and so. There's a lot of scary information out there in employment law right now. We have engaged with Eaton Peabody in regards to a potential TIF with Central Maine Power. We all have received, Dave and Christian and myself have received some homework on that. I've been working with Pavel on migration of content to the new website. That's underway. And we continue to work on spreading the word on the question on the ballot regarding the Registry of Deeds. As you can tell, the heat is on, the new furnace installation is complete, and just a reminder, the Spirit of America recognition is tonight at 6 o'clock upstairs.
Okay. Department heads. Who do I see out there? Deputy Chief Mike.
Good afternoon. We got two new people that have started. One just graduated from Phase 2 of the Criminal Justice Academy. He's out on patrol right now, running the roads, running the rules. And he's well into his training. He's earmarked to go to the academy in January. He'll be gone for 18 weeks. Our second employee, which we'll get voting on here shortly, could potentially be starting at the end of the month. He's serving his 2-week notice right now if we vote him in. And at the end of his training immediately thereafter, and he's slated to go to the academy in January as well.
Thank you. Sheriff?
370 calls for service for patrol last week. We're completing our patrol rifle qualifications right now. The last of our 4 new Ford Explorers should be on the road by the end of the week. We're still waiting for the backlog of cars that we're anticipated to get ready. So we're working through that. Small outbreak of COVID inside the jail. 8 inmates. We were able to isolate them and put forth our mitigation plan. So that's the biggest symptoms would be like 99 degrees and some chills. But we're working through that.
Thank you. Dave?
The biggest issue we have is plowing the Lake Moxie Road and Moxie Gore. We didn't have anybody that willing to do it. We worked with the state trying to get, they could give us a truck, but we could not come up with a driver. That was the problem. Since then, we have a local contractor who has stepped in and he's given us quotes. That is the Forks and us for Lake Moxie Road. He hasn't dealt with Caratunk at all, who we were involved with. The trouble with the quote we received is it's almost twice any of our other higher ones. It's $20,000 a mile. So we have a little over 3 miles, so we're looking at probably over $70,000 to plow 3 miles, counting the sand cost. That is still up in the air. Caratunk is looking, the state has come up with a truck that does not require a CLD license. So Liz Caruso, Caratunk's first selectman, she's checking again with the person who used to plow for our contractor, Sam White up there. So she's still trying to come up with a driver. But we are locked together with the Forks. They have the first and last mile of the road, we have the 3 miles in between. So we have to be on board with the same contract that they do. So I am going to talk with their first selectman tonight at the Caratunk Forks, West Forks transfer station meeting, West Forks tonight, and feel her out on if she's fully committed to go with Indy Webb and West Forks, or if there's an option, maybe if we can come up with a driver. So that's kind of what we're working with right now. So we're still up in the air with that.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none? Captain Pike?
We're continuing to push ahead with hiring at the jail. We have 4 names for you all for consideration this afternoon. We have several more in the queue, and I'm cautiously, maybe even more cautious than cautiously optimistic we'll be at full staff in 1 month's time.
That'll be quite the
Very
achievement.
excited about that process.
Peak. Frank?
I have some bittersweet news. Our deputy district attorney has resigned effective November 3rd will be her last day, and I will be taking over for her. The bittersweet part is both that Fredla's leaving and that I will have to be in Kennebec because that's where the deputy sits. That's not to say that I won't be the deputy district attorney for the whole district, but I will be leaving Somerset in about 2 weeks. It's kind of emotional for me. I've been back for 6.5 years, and I can honestly say to you commissioners that it is much better here now than when I arrived. Tim Snyder is going to be taking over. He's a Somerset County resident. He lives in Pittsfield. Come on over. And I have absolute faith in him. He's an excellent attorney. He's very, very wonderful candidate for this job. So he'll be taking over upstairs, and I will still be around. But I did want to tell you all that I'm not going to be here anymore on a daily basis anymore.
Well, we are sad to see you leave.
Wow.
We're happy to welcome you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
But
Frank, I don't know what to say. It's been
I know.
a long time.
It's been a long time.
I think you should reorganize the office, speak to Megan, and
Well,
I think it makes perfect sense to me that the deputy of the 2-county district attorney's office would be stationed in the
Well,
second county.
I think that.
I feel there's logic there.
Yeah.
was stationed in Sutton County. I think David Kirk was the original deputy, and he was.
He was, and,
There's precedent for it.
oh, yes, I can cite you other examples, but I won't take any more time on this topic.
I will have that conversation with you.
Good, good.
Thank you, sir.
Pavel?
So Kima project, so those two servers installed. So the next step is to install internal cameras. We also waiting for those cybersecurity grant. So we're waiting for the grant funds from FEMA. So that will allow us to install like a new firewall at every location. We also work in the Central Square on the new public safety application. So it's like pretty easy.
Thank you. Let's see, there's no other, no, I didn't miss anybody. No other unfinished business, new business. Resolution 23-210 to accept the resignation of Administrator Corey Swope from the Somerset County Jail.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I'd like to have an executive session on this article at the end of the meeting.
It's too late, we've already gone by that. Yeah, we can do that, I think.
Or do you want to discuss it now? That doesn't matter.
Do we need a executive session? I was gonna just say we have
Nullifies that?
a discussion on severance at our next meeting.
That isn't what I forgot.
Okay. Do you want to discuss now?
No, I'd rather do it with just the sheriff.
Okay.
But, are we talking about the same thing in terms of whether we as a board should be adopting policies with respect to any kind of so-called severance package with any particular employee? Is that what
No,
we're- That's not what we're talking about. Okay, because I mean, I think that's a discussion we should have.
I do too, right? I thought it was going to be on our workshop for today, but it's a big workshop, so it's fine that it's not.
I don't think it's an executive session issue, I think. it's-
No, that's policy, so
Yeah.
that'd be upfront.
But I don't, if it's a reason, I mean, I think if you want to have an executive session on something, I'm not opposing that.
I'm not opposing it either, I just was wondering. So we'll fit that in at the end. Okay, so, any further discussion? All in favor? We're all set?
Did that, yeah.
Okay. Resolution 23-21-1 to approve the promotion of Captain Michael Pike to Major and Somerset County Jail Administrator.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Congratulations, Major.
Thank you all very much.
And 23-21-2 to accept the resignation of Corrections Officers Gabrielle Dubois and Elijah Munn.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay. Resolution 23-21-3 to approve the hiring of Ronnie Blodgett as domestic violence investigator.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Let's go. Resolution 23-21-4 to approve the hiring of the following corrections officers for the Somerset County Jail: Lonnie Storn Jr., Michaela Robinson, Lonnie Delano, and Denise Boudry.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Goes, thank you. Resolution 23-21-5 to transfer $29,300 from opioid settlement funds to balance the sublocade treatment fund.
So moved.
With
Second.
discussion?
Maybe just a little more information on that.
So this is one thing I did reach out to Patrick on, just so I made sure that I had the story straight. So this is the closeout of the FY '23 funds that we received for the Sublocade treatments. So since then, we've entered into a new agreement with the state. The arrangement with the commissioners for the '23 funding was that they would contribute a portion of that from the opioid settlement money. So initially, I think there was a $50,000, this is where I don't have the details, but there was a $50,000 commitment. To settle all that out requires this $29,000 moved from the opioid settlement money to balance out or zero out that Sublocade fund.
Okay. Okay.
But once we're done this, we still have money left over in this opioid settlement.
We shouldn't have any money left over in that particular account. That should balance out at $29,000.
Okay, you know I'm totally hopeless on this, but this says,
And you don't have a current one.
oh, because this doesn't matter. This 40912
Yep.
says we have $118,754.69 in it. I think.
Sheriff, do you have your hand up?
It says,
40912 is where the money's coming from, so there will be a balance in that.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, there will still be some money left over in the opioid settlement, and we will receive monies going forward every year for that.
Thanks.
Okay, we're good. So we're all set? All in favor? Let's go. Thank you. Resolution 23-21-6, to approve the hiring of Jacob Deaver to the Somerset County Sheriff's Office Patrol.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Does he come from another department, or?
He works right now for the Department of Corrections at Mountain View as a social worker, and he's coming to patrol, he lives in Cambridge.
Oh, very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? To go. Capital reserves expenditures, none. Organized territory, discussion of the FY25 UT budget.
At this point, we'll turn it over to Dave, and you'll see there's a resolution following his presentation because of the timeline of trying to get information to the state, so.
Yeah, we have the preliminary, which isn't written in stone, we can make any changes we need to, but they need a draft so they can start putting their numbers together. So let me open this up. And I can go on for hours on all this material, so I'm just gonna give you a brief overview, and if anything piques your interest, let me know. The first thing I wanna do is just open up the budget. And there it is. So, our budget is by location. If you scroll down here, you can see 1751 is